Hey guys, NA offseason is coming to a close, and there's been a lot of criticism coming towards a lot of the team and NA in general. So I want to talk about the offseason and how NA conducts its offseason and if it's doomed or not. So yeah, it's been incredibly spicy. Fan favorites not getting a spot like Sneaky, Pope, Demonte, Huni's $2.3 million contract. Let's cover it all. So let's start with the biggest and the worst controversy, Dignitas. InBen Global recently reported that Dignitas is having a hard time signing other players. They spent 1/3 of the budget on Huni, and they're unable to sign other players. So if the 1/3 of the budget went to Huni, and Huni's probably getting paid about a little bit over $1 mil, their overall budget is somewhere around like 3.3 mil, 3.5 mil. So with like the 2 mil they have left, they're unable to sign for other players. So why is this like a really big problem? Dignitas, the org that brought Clutch from being like 9th place all the way to Worlds, like why is it going to shit? One problem with it is the management change. So the old Dignitas GM is actually going to EG, Evil Genius. This guy's name is Andy Barton. Funny story with him. So like I think like 2 off seasons ago or 1 off season ago, I knew the Clutch Gaming roster, but Andy Barton, he was on the Clutch Gaming account on Twitch, and he was on my stream making fun of me saying I didn't know. So I started reading off the roster, and he was able to get my phone number. He called me and he told me, okay, you know the roster. Don't reveal it on stream, please. So I ended up not revealing, and that's how I started becoming friends with him. So now the new GM is named Bakery. He's actually from Heroes of the Storm. He used to be the assistant GM, and now I heard he's the new GM. He doesn't have a lot of experience. I don't want to put all the blame on him, because I'm not sure if the owners made these choices or the head coach made the choices, but the GM, the person that's supposed to be making these choices, went to a different team, and the new GM doesn't have a lot of experience. So yeah, that definitely played a part at the very least. So I will leak a little bit for you guys. Dignitas actually had a pretty decent plan on how they wanted to handle the offseason. They had good people they were going after, but they were just floating so much options. So when they were floating option A and option B became available, and they were kind of investing into option B, option A heard of the option B, and option A is like, nope, I'm not joining your team. So option B ran away, and then there's like player C that was going to join their team if option A joined. Now that option A wasn't joining, player C is like, nope, I'm not joining your team, and everything went to hell. And then the player D that they were talking to, they were like, well, you guys look like a giant shithole and everything's on fire, and it looks like the only player you signed is Huni, and the salary you're offering me is nothing. Well, I don't want to play for your team either. And the one good piece you had, Vulcan, is going to Cloud9. So yeah, so it's just been a giant dumpster fire of not running the offseason in a good way. And NA offseason is dirty. People will lie to each other. People will give each other fake information. People will talk to multiple people while telling you they're only talking to you, and then they'll start ghosting you. Like Pobelter talked about it in his tweet longer. It is dirty. And Dignitas, they try to play dirty just like other orgs, and they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar, and it blew up in their face. So now let's go to GGS, another team that's been receiving a lot of flack. I mean, you can see Thorin's tweet, Forgiven's tweet, Monty's tweet. No one's really happy with how GGS really ended up with their roster. So I'll try to be a little bit positive. I'll play devil's advocate. This is a roster with a lot of experiments. They're trying out a lot of Oceanic imports in FBI, and they're trying out another minor region import in Closer, who was the MVP of Summer Turkish League. And Golden Glue, he hasn't started in a long time. Keys to Support, this is also an experiment. I just don't think it's a good experiment. This is one of the byproducts of franchising. In a relegation system, teams won't experiment to this degree, but in a franchising league, teams can tank, teams will experiment a lot. They just won't always put their focus on winning if they feel like they are far away from it. And that's kind of what Golden Guardians is doing. This roster is just not so much about winning. Now, another big thing is the nepotism within North American offseason. And the 2 players and the 2 teams that are receiving the most flack is Ryoma with 100 Thieves and Eika with Immortals. So why it's being called nepotism? I mean, let's first define what nepotism is. So the dictionary definition for nepotism is The practice among those with power or influence of favoring relatives or friends, especially by giving them jobs. Now, is it nepotism? To a certain degree, yes. Like Papa Smithy is from Australia, so is Ryoma. Eika is from France, so is Zabutin, and these are like the big decision makers within these teams. So yes, to a certain degree, but it's not always a bad thing. It is something I'm incredibly on the fence about. So I'm someone that's also brought friends onto teams that I work for, and there really is like a certain degree of trust and positive aspects that go into it. I mean, for example, I brought over Lustboy after a pretty rough like ending for Lustboy and Blaze in Korea. He was nowhere near guaranteed to be a great support, but being close to Lustboy, I knew and had better insight on how he would do in North America, and also because I believe a lot in Lustboy and I know Lustboy believes a lot in me, I knew for a fact he would try his ass off. And Papa Smithy and Zabutin probably feel similarly about Ryoma and Eika. They probably feel like they know these players better than a lot of the other people giving them criticism. And also, I think there is going to be a rule in the future which allows minor region imports to not count as full imports, so maybe they're investing in early because of that. That makes a lot of sense, especially at least on the Ryoma end. So yeah, let's not judge this one too harshly. Like, people are just yelling nepotism, and I don't think that is the entirety of it. I do think there are good reasonings why Ryoma and Eika are getting picked up. Now, moving on to the fan favorites not getting the spot. Pobelter, Demonte, Sneaky. Pobelter had a giant tweet longer. So on this, here's my thoughts about it. If you had a bad year, it's really hard to overturn public opinion and land on a good team. In LCS, there's no tryouts, a lot of the pickups are done from word of mouth, and yeah, you're just not given an opportunity to show how good you are. So for someone like Pobelter, who had a miserable 2019 compared to the rest of his career, it's really hard for him to even get a shot. So yeah, I feel you, Pobelter. I see where you're at, and it must be incredibly frustrating watching players like Golden Glue start over you. So to kind of show the other side of this, I will let you hear from the most, like, the well accomplished and well recognized expert on League of Legends, Tyler1.
It's crazy to me. Pobelter did. Okay, so let me explain. Pobelter fucking tweeted out, like, I'm not going to be playing on an LCS team, this split, blah, 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 all that bullshit. Dude, are you, like, we've literally played with Pobelter in solo queue. And there's two things, right? We've done bot reviews. There's two things. Number one, he either trolls us in solo queue, or number two, he's absolute dog shit, right? And either way, he doesn't belong in LCS. So all these people are like, oh, like he is legitimately bad, right? And if you want to say, well, it was just a bad game. No, the fucking mistakes he were making was not bad. It was so bad.
So while I disagree with some of the things he's saying, one thing that is true is if you're an LCS player fighting for a job, you need to put your best foot forward always, right? If consider it like going to an interview. If you're going to an interview, you're going to be in a suit, you're going to have your teeth brushed, you're going to have your hair slicked back in a nice way, and you're going to put the best version of you forward. And playing in solo queue, for these LCS players, it is like a mini interview. People will judge you on this, like especially big streamers like Tyler1, and they will talk about it on their stream, and it will have overreaching effects. So that's something that Pobelter needed to watch out for. So moving on to Demonte, this one's actually a little bit funny. Demonte has a pretty okay brand with Tanner Time.
Alright, this is Tanner Time with Tanner.
And he's a very likable player. Maybe not the most Twitter following like Doran has pointed out before, but people would not shut up about Tanner Time and how much they love Demonte. And I think it like kind of skewed his skill level and if he should have a job or not and how good he really is. I think for a fact he is worse than Pobelter, and I think he is worse than a lot of the top tier imports. He could be better than Ryoma and Eika potentially. I do think he's better than Golden Glue, but I don't think it's that outrageous that he didn't get a job. This one just isn't that far from the mark, and I'm not terribly surprised he isn't on a team. It's just funny to see how much Reddit and Twitter and YouTube is like outraged that Demonte is not starting. So the final one is Sneaky not playing. Whew, this one's spicy. C9 fans have brought out the pitchforks, and Niski made a comment defending the decision, and Jack is doing damage control in the C9 subreddit. and someone close to Sneaky has said things in the Discord. Just as a heads up, if you're someone close to a professional player, if you're a boyfriend, if you're a girlfriend, if they're parents, please don't say things in public manner that might speak negatively of the team or of their teammates. You're just putting on additional pressure, and while you might feel like you're standing up for your significant other or whoever you're close to, you're just making the situation harder for them. Just support them privately and let the public know, like, I am supporting my significant other no matter what the circumstances, but please do not make their life harder for them, because that's what's going on right now. This person is making life harder for Sneaky. And this shit happens all the fucking time when a single player has an incredibly huge fan base. And don't get me wrong, Sneaky is an incredibly popular player. I mean, he's going to All-Stars while potentially not starting for an LCS team next spring. So yeah, the fans of the player are outraged at the team for making a decision that does not include their favorite player and kind of shoves them to the side. I actually applaud C9 for making this decision. I think overall they upgraded their roster and they're showing, like, it's not the fan base, it's not the kind of pleasing the fans that's important for us. It's about putting together a competitive roster. They are still an incredibly budget conscious team. I know people are going to tell me that they aren't and that I'm wrong and they spent 1.5 mil for Vulcan, but do the math in your head. What do you think costed more? C9 selling the 4 players to EG, or C9 buying Vulcan for 1.5 mil? I mean, think for yourself. Do you think C9 lost money this offseason for buying Vulcan while selling the 4 players, even at buying Vulcan for 1.5 mil? Like, just think for 1 second. How much did EG pay for Spence Garen, Dazel, Kumo, and Deathly? Trust me, it's a lot more than 1.5 mil. Now, the other huge controversy is nearly 0 rookies playing. So the problem with this is veterans aren't getting heavily contested for their spots and there isn't a lot of competition, and salaries keep going up with this problem. Veterans want to get paid more, rookies you can pay them less, and especially if they are good as a veteran, then the overall salary level is like staying kind of consistent. Like, older players that are making a lot gets pushed out by newer players that are making less. And also, it's a huge supply and demand problem, right? If there's a huge supply of talent, then there's going to be less demand in terms of how much they can ask in terms of salary. And you see that in Europe, because EU is starting so much rookies and there's so much new faces coming in, they don't have to overly pay for the new players, and their actual budget for the entire LEC across the board goes down. And for LCS, we don't get new players, and when we do end up getting new players, it's imports from Korea or Europe with a huge name and fan base and a lot of accolades. We have to pay them a lot. Example, Bang. So the salary keeps going up and up. New blood is the future of the league, and it's harder for the league to grow, and it's harder for the new players to get better without them competing in LCS. And it's a constant problem that LCS is having. So yeah, this is a problem that's beyond LCS. It's actually due to Academy being absolutely garbage and the amateur scene below Academy being pretty much non-existent, but that's for another video. But there is a slight hope. There is news about one rookie potentially playing next split, and Johnson for Dignitas.
I've heard Altec. Johnson is supposedly starting at Dig.
So yeah, looks like we have a rookie of the split. And speaking on that topic, Johnson isn't even from TSM's academy team. He's from TSM's like youth team, which is they have their academy team and then they have a team below that, and Johnson was so good that a lot of people were interested, and looks like he's going to be starting. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video on NA offseason, and if it's doomed, right now it does look doomed, but we'll do another video talking about kind of the potential solutions for it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And one last thing, I'm not crazy, I'm just loco.